One of my favorite things was at every stage, there's just so many there's so many shots of Katy Perry floating in front of the camera that were genuinely very fun. Like they're like someone will just be in the middle of like, and then Katy Perry. Man, yeah. That was great.
Comedian Josh Johnson was giving his 2 cents.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch. This is all for the benefit of Earth.
On not just the launch, but the sheer absurdity of it all.
And I don't even think they're mad at like Katy or any of those women. I don't think they're mad that like the thing is like tone deaf in nature or whatever. I think they're mad because people are like having a hard time living. Do you know what I mean? It's like they are kind of like the easy placeholder right now for how we feel about how the actual world is. Because I don't think we're that mad at them. I think what's actually happening is that it's very hard to get by right now, and it's hard to escape. And I don't know. Everyone could use a little escapism one way or another, and we're losing access to that.
It's not just that we're losing access to it. However, while Bezos says he liquidates roughly $1 billion of Amazon stock each year to fund this astronaut cosplaying machine, it is the workers who he has stiffed that fund these ambitions. Let's also not forget, Amazon is a company that fights unionization with an iron fist. They do everything they can to stop unions, even though we have a long history of how they really do help the workforce. This is the same company, and everyone should go watch the NPR Democracy Now! PBS documentary about this, where they interview former workers in those warehouses, but how they are timed. And if they don't reach a certain quota in a certain amount of time, they get docked points, which could then lead to them being fired and excused from their job. On top of this, remember when Ken Klippenstein worked for The Intercept, was a fantastic Substack, who broke the story that Amazon drivers are peeing in bottles so they could also reach their quotas, unrealistic quotas that this company does. And then there are also many lawsuits as it involves this company. In many cases, some of the workers died. Those lawsuits are ongoing. So just remember this when thinking about this company. What they won't describe it as in mainstream media is class warfare. It's when oligarchs like Bezos, Elon Musk, and Richard Branson add $250 billion to their wealth during a deadly pandemic. They pay a lower tax rate than, for example, a nurse, rush to outer space, while climate change is leading to our own destruction from capitalists such as these. We don't have healthcare, food insecurity is rising, housing is getting more expensive, but they get to go play spacemen for about 20 minutes. Relatable? How about the space program by A Tribe Called Quest, where founding member Jerobi White went over how Gil Scott-Heron's Whitey on the Moon was a direct influence to his bars that he wrote, and how it is still very relatable to this day.
Look, man, I'm not going to lie to you. On the space program, which I did a breakdown on with the Turks, but like, I'm not just saying this because you're here. I thought your verse was fantastic. Just so strong. There are so many moments where a lyric will speak to me, but you touched on the future of the people. You touched on metaphorical Molotov cocktails, wink. You touched on the whiteness of presidents. You touched on the poisoning of water. You touched on the mass unblackening. This is all within like a 45-second span. You touched.
I know, it was so heavy, dude.
It was so heavy, and it was so good. And then you went with the metaphor as well of like, going to Mars. How did you write this, man?
It's in my process. It's a summation of all the things I was thinking was going on at the time. They're talking about going to Mars, and
Which they're
I
still
was
talking about.
dude, and I was laughing with Tip, and somebody was like, one of my friends was like, "Yeah, man, we're going to Mars." Da, 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 da. And I was like, "Oh, that's where all this going comes from." The Washingtons, Jeffersons, Jacksons. That's like, traditionally those are the names of Black people. Also, those are that's money.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of sort of the Black people ain't going, and you can't even pay for it.
You talking about how some of your friends were like, we're going to Mars, and you basically saying we're not going there. Did you have a vision of Whitey on the moon at all when you were doing that?
Absolutely. That was kind of one of the inspirations for that song.
The reason this launch was so heavily criticized is because you are watching billionaires play in our faces. How does it feel that we know folks who are working multiple jobs just to survive in this country? How does it feel that we don't have universal health care? How does it feel that a lot of people are struggling to pay rent and that they are being taken advantage of, where their labor is just a number to someone who is way above them that could then steal the funds that should go into that person's pocket, accumulate it, and use that wealth to then shoot themselves up into space for 10 minutes. Or, if you're lucky, you're Katy Perry. That's why people are mad. And one other thing that really gets me is this feminism angle that they are playing up, which is an out. It's a way to use Gayle King, Lauren Sanchez, I think her name is, Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, Katy Perry, and others as quite literal human shields to deflect away from criticism. And I find that to be appalling, because this is the fake feminism that we have warned so many about. It's awful. It is historically terrible to say, oh, look at us, we're uplifting women in the worst ways. Yeah, you are. And Bezos knows this. He quite literally controls the Washington Post. He has an entire media arm that he can use for his own propaganda, and has also shut down critiques of Amazon. So I think it's rather prevalent to bring these things up. But the most important thing is that if we were to go through Whitey on the Moon, because if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you check out the video on demand. And just to give some idea, this is him, Gil Scott-Heron's lyrics. A rat done bit my sister Nell with Whitey on the Moon. Her face and arms began to swell and Whitey's on the moon. Can't pay doctor bills. Whitey's on the moon. 10 years from now, I'll be paying still while Whitey's on the moon. The man just upped my rent last night because Whitey's on the moon. No hot water, no toilets, no lights, but Whitey's on the moon. It is a reflection of society that we cannot afford anything and we are being taken advantage of left and right while we have rats quite literally in our houses. We have no running water, or we're going to be running out of water. Our rent is being upped while billionaires get to go play astronaut up in space with the labor that we put forth for them and put our lives on the line so that way they could steal it and go do another toy. It's sickening. And how people don't see this is also appalling, because what you have right now is a current political ideology that says, F you, I won't do what you tell me. No, actually, I will do absolutely what you will tell me, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg. Where is the class consciousness? Hopefully you find it sooner rather than later. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.